Hi, Rick with Tanner Systems. This video is going to cover as much as we think we can cover regarding troubleshooting a dispenser that may not be working properly for you. So in this video I'm using a T87 which has a 2-inch head, and I'm mainly doing that for the ability to see what we're discussing. All of the dispensers work in the same manner. Many of them have the same parts, but not exactly the same. They've got maybe different sizes of parts, but I think you'll get a really good idea of what we're going to try to look at to get your dispenser back up and running. First thing you're going to want to look at, of course, or what we can do, is cover the basics. Do we have fluid in the tank? Look in the sight glass to make sure that at least we have enough fluid to get up to and cover the bottom of the siphon tube that's dragging down inside of this tank. So we got to have fluid. We need to have air passing through the dispenser for it to work properly. So if we have air passing through it, and if we have fluid, if we're not working, here's a couple things that we can do while we're still in line. The first thing would be to check our adjusting screw. Where is the adjusting screw located? So for instance, did somebody close it, you weren't aware of it, so lightly put some pressure on the adjusting screw, turn it down to make sure that it's now at the bottom, and then give it a good maybe full 2 turns from the bottom to see if that opens up, if you want to say, the air loop. If you take it up a few turns from the bottom, you have air passing through the dispenser, you have fluid in the dispenser, and if you're not seeing droplets in this sight dome, then we're going to continue. Another thing we can look at before we disassemble all of this: do we have any air leaks? Can we check with maybe some soapy water or air leak compound of some type? Spray around the sight dome to see if there's a leak. Spray around the seal between the tank and the head to make sure that we don't have any leaks. If we're leaking, that means we're not pressurizing the tank, and if we're not pressurizing the tank, we're not forcing the fluid to come up that siphon tube. So we need to be able to pressurize the tank. Leaks are not going to allow that. If we don't have any leaks, if the adjusting screw looks like it's in good shape, we did talk about running it down to make sure that it was in the good position, but we should also remove it. We're going to want to turn the air off to do so, but you're going to want to remove the adjusting screw completely. On some of the dispensers, we need to remove the sight dome to completely take out the adjusting screw, but we want to make sure that the adjusting screw still has the tip on it. If your adjusting screw does not have a tip, it probably has been broken inside somewhere, and that'll render the top half of this dispenser inoperable, or I hate to say it, but useless. I haven't figured out how to fix that problem if one breaks off in there. If you have a properly working adjusting screw, put it back in, put your sight dome back on, and then the last thing we can probably look at is underneath the fill plug. Again, on this dispenser, it's this brass fill plug. On the smaller ones, the T85, the T83, and the T89 or the T90, it's a plastic fill plug that's a little smaller than this. This plug, when it is fully seated, pushes down on a check valve. So reach down in here and push on that check valve to make sure that it is popping up and down. Your Schrader valve is just like the one inside your valve stem in your car. Make sure that Schrader valve is working properly. If it is either stuck open or stuck closed, replace the Schrader valve, reinstall your fill plug. You might be back in operation. If none of those things have worked for you, then we probably need to remove your dispenser from the airstream, and we'll need to start looking at some internal options. So once you've obviously shut down your air, taken your dispenser offline, we're going to look in the inlet side, or the throat. This one, again, is the T87, so it's bigger for you to see it. What is the condition of that flow guide? The T87 flow guide looks like this in a brand new condition. It's fairly stiff. If yours is bent back like so, or maybe even is missing a couple of ears, just replace the flow guide. We need the flow guide to redirect a small amount of your air into a little hole in the side chamber here. That hole is what then pressurizes the bowl. The flow guide, some people call it a restrictor plate, just redirects enough air to pressurize this tank. Check the flow guide. Also, the flow guide screw. This one is held in place by a brass screw with a fairly large washer. The T83, T85 have a smaller washer. The T90 doesn't even have a washer. But on these larger T87s and T89s, we've got that big washer. They all use the same flow guide screw that has a hole all the way through it, so it's hollow. If you have a light on the back side, you can literally see the light through the screw. We need to make sure that that hole didn't get plugged with a contaminant from your airstream. If that gets plugged, again, we're not going to be able to complete this whole air loop that we need to not only draw fluid, but allow the fluid, once it gets here, to get into your airstream. So we need to make sure that that flow guide screw works. If that all seems to be good, then we're going to need to separate this. Take the head off from the tank, and then we're going to look at, in essence, what do we have next? What condition is our siphon tube? Do we have a good fit up here? The adapter is, in essence, just a barb fitting, so we want a really tight fit here. If this is really loose, if it comes off easy, we're probably not getting a good seal. Either cut it off and give yourself a new connection, or replace the siphon tube. Make sure you get a good tight fit that's going to allow the siphoning to work, because if we don't have a tight fit up here, we're not going to be able to draw fluid up this siphon tube. As long as you have the siphon tube off, you might as well just check the underside, the O-ring and the ball that are in here, and see if that is all okay. Is there any contaminants underneath that adapter? There's an R51 O-ring in here, and on the other side of the O-ring is a little ball check that works as a backflow preventer. You can shake it and you can hear it rattling there, and that's a good thing. So if that's rattling and if it looks really clean, you're great. If not, take everything out, clean it all up, get the contaminants out of there, and then put everything back together. So you put your adapter back in, and then you're going to put your siphon tube back on, and then before you put it all back together, make sure that your siphon tube filter has not been plugged. And if it looks really bad, then just get a whole new siphon tube with the filter and you'll be back in business. One of the last things that we can probably look at here is just making sure that all of the internal air chambers are open. So we're going to start with either running a tag wire or pushing a little air up through the adapter. That air actually then travels internally up through here. The air comes out through the drip tube. That's where your fluid is going to pass. So if we're blowing air up through there, you'll feel it, or you'll see it down here. You run your tag wire up, and if it comes out, we know that if you want to say, pathway is open. And then also we need to check on the bottom side of this. There's a hole in here, and that's where your fluid, once it comes out the drip tube, drops down into the throat. So run a tag wire through there to make sure that your fluid is passing all the way down into the throat, so that your moving air can hit those droplets, turn it into the mist that we need to treat your moisture. So those are about all the things that we can kind of suggest you take a look at to make sure that everything's working properly. Any parts that you might need for our dispensers are available by the each. If you just need a single O-ring, or if you just need a ball check, or if you just need an adjusting screw, they are available. We also have repair kits available. So the repair kit will give you every single O-ring that is in the dispenser, including the O-rings for the sight assembly. You'll get sight domes, you'll get adjusting screws, almost everything that really would be if you want to use the word wear item, is available in the repair kit. R24 takes care of the T83, T85, R25 for the T87 and T89, and the R26 for the T90. On the website is a parts list for all of our dispensers to help you figure out what parts do you need to order from your dealer. Pretty easy to find. And lastly, I've got a summary of everything that I kind of talked about here on a troubleshooting sheet that also should be on the website. Upper right-hand corner of the website, product support. Click on that, follow it down a little ways, and you'll see a bunch of our brochures that are available for you to view to kind of help you work with your Tanner system. So thanks for your time. Any questions at all with anything that we've done, or if you've run all that and you still haven't been able to make your dispenser work, give Tanner Systems a call, talk with any of us here, and we'd be happy to walk through that with you. Thanks for your time. Have a great day.